Hello and welcome to the Romance Track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Z Martin and Morgan Brice, and today we're going to be talking about more winter and holiday romance and everything in between. But before we get into that, let's let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, starting with Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Estep. I'm the author of the Elemental Assassin series, along with the Crown of Shards and Gargoyle Queen series. And I write urban fantasy, epic fantasy, and a little bit of paranormal romance.
Fun. Nancy?
I'm Nancy Northcott. I write historical fantasy, several different subgenres of romance, including paranormal, and science fiction that has no romance in it at all, or not much anyway.
Okay. Maggie?
I'm Maggie Blackbird. I write contemporary and historical romance starring Canada's Indigenous people. And I am venturing into my first paranormal series, and my first book just came out with it called Born for This.
Ooh, sounds good. Valerie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Valerie June. I write under the name of VJ Allison. I write mostly contemporary small town romances, but like Maggie, I just ventured into the paranormal romance. My first ever paranormal horror romance came out beginning of October, and it's called Eternity's Gamble. I do have
wonderful
romance out too.
Ooh, sounds good.
Sorry.
And I write romance as Morgan Brice. I write epic fantasy and urban fantasy as Gail, and urban fantasy, male paranormal romance as Morgan. So let's talk about, everybody here writes paranormal. What is it about bringing the spooky stuff into the sexy stuff that makes it really good? Nancy?
Well, I write magic. I don't write shifters or vampires. I read a lot of them, love them, but I don't write them. For me, what bringing the magic into it does is it expands the world and it opens the possibilities. And I grew up reading comic books. I've been reading comic books since I was 8 years old. And to me, mages are kind of the fantasy world superheroes. So even though they are normal people walking around doing magical things, I mean, normal looking people, in my head, they're all wearing a cape. So I find a lot of fun in that.
Sounds good. Maggie?
I was actually asked to write a paranormal. Myself and 3 other authors, they asked if I'd be interested in doing that. And at first I wasn't sure how I'd participate, but then, you know, I read a lot of Basil Johnston's books, and he's an Ojibwe author. He has since passed away, but he writes a lot of books on the old folklore and everything. The old Ojibwe tales and culture. And then I realized how I could incorporate it into the paranormal. So that really, really got me interested in it. And so there's also another series I'm also looking at doing, but I like incorporating that into the romance with my Ojibwe characters. So I was all on board for that. I thought, wow, you know, this is a new opportunity to delve further into Ojibwe culture. So I was all on board. Happy
Very
to
cool.
be here.
Valerie?
Like Maggie, I was brought into this paranormal thing with 2 other authors. The 4 of us actually decided to write our own take on one common element, and mine turned out to be a really wild ride through a game. It was so weird because I could actually I love expanding things, and I could create my own, this whole new unique world. It was so much fun, and I'm hoping to do another one sometime soon as I get a series finished for my current publisher. So I really enjoyed it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think any story is better with a few ghosts, maybe a vampire, a couple of dead bodies, you know, as one does. I just think that spruces things up. So if you can have my Gail stuff has very little romance, although there's some, but a lot of it takes place off page. The Morgan is pretty much split 50-50 action and romance. And I just really have a blast working in people with special abilities or shifters or ghosts or all of the above. Spice of life, gives you so many more possibilities. Jennifer, how about you?
I agree with you. I like books that have a little bit of everything in them: action, adventure, danger, romance. And to me, the magic is just another element to kind of help tie it all together. And I think in a lot of the books, the magic can really up the stakes because the hero and the heroine are dealing with like these really impossible situations and like, trying to save the world or save the universe or whatever. And I just think it really just adds to the tension and the storytelling.
Okay, fair enough. What is it that attracted you to writing romance, romantic suspense, or action adventure with romantic elements, whatever flavor you want to call it? What got you into writing the romance piece of that? Maggie?
Well, I don't write a lot of suspense or anything. It's more contemporary and historical. But what drew me to the romance part of it is I like the the relationship that builds between the two characters, how they grow from their own conflicts with inside themselves and the conflicts that they're having with each other. I find it creates a really beautiful character arc. I'm a sucker for character arcs. I love a good arc in a story, and that's what really draws me into it. I find the two always find a way to balance each other and draw strengths that the characters don't even know they have until they meet their special person, and how the way they help each other overcome obstacles and even balance each other, because my characters are always so different from each other, kind of like my husband and me. We really we balance each other, and that's what really drew me to writing romance and even reading. You know what an avid reader I am. I like to host the gay book promotions a lot and read a lot of the books in that. So I just love a good romance.
I'm with you on that. How about you, Valerie?
Oh gosh, I was reading romance at 11 years old, so huge reader. And I was told in grade 4 by Mrs. Hashim, my grade 4 teacher at Petite Revere, that I had a knack for spinning a tale. And I had a lot of problems growing up, and writing was an escape for it. So it's just like when I started reading romance, it's just like a natural progression to writing it. And writing the contemporary, the small town stuff is a lot of fun. I grew up in this area. It's a small town. We have a lot of like interconnecting people here and everything. So it's really, really cool to be able to say that I write romance set in my hometown. Plus, there was a gap of very few stories are set in my province of Nova Scotia, let alone romance books. And I'm filling in that gap. So, or I like to think I am.
Well, and it's a beautiful place to set a romance. So as we talked before, yeah, that's a great location. You know, I just love the increased stakes in a story when you add the romance, because now you've got the relationship between the two people that's evolving. Even if it's an established couple over several books, it's still, the relationship is evolving. Getting together is the easy part. Staying together is sometimes the hard part, especially when people are throwing magic and monsters at you and you're running for your life and somebody's trying to kill you. And so for me, that kind of puts the conflict right there, and I don't have to have too many misunderstandings or miscommunications, because monster, and there you go. It ups the stakes. How about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, I definitely agree that it ups the stakes. I mean, especially if you're doing something like an enemies to lovers story where they like absolutely hate each other, but they're forced to work together for some reason. That's one of my favorite kind of romance tropes is the enemy to lover. And I agree, it ups the stakes, it creates another layer to your story, it just builds up all this extra tension. And like I said, I love it when they have to like work together, even though they might really not like each other at the beginning.
Nancy?
Well, I think you all said it really well in terms of raising the stakes, and it gives the characters something more to fight for when they're going through the problems in the story. The very first stories that I wrote that were not in crayon were Legion of Superheroes fan fiction. And the Legion of Superheroes comic books are not what you might call famous for their romance elements. But in my fan fiction, I put it in there a lot. And I think it's because the way somebody interacts with somebody they really care about, aside from raising the stakes, also reveals that person to some degree. And it gives the character more layers. And yeah, I'm a sucker for a happy ending. It's why I read genre fiction. I'm guaranteed a happy ending. And so romance in a book and genre fiction, I get a double happy ending. And so that's even better. So for me, it's kind of like that. But I have to say, I was tickled by Maggie's comment about the differences between her and her husband, because my husband is Mr. Everything Will Be Fine. And I'm Ms. Armageddon is rolling toward us, brace for impact. And, you know, we meet somewhere in the middle. And so I sort of think about that in the back of my head when I'm thinking about different people trying to come together in a romance novel.
Well, yeah, you got to have those complementary strengths and weaknesses, because that's what makes it interesting. Valerie, what are some of your favorite tropes, whether it's for holidays or just any time of the year?
I love second chance romances. I don't know why. It's just something that really appeals to me. Or the friends to lovers. You know, they've known each other all their lives, and they get along, but they're not sure if they'll be lovers or not. And it's like the play on that, like the attraction and everything, is so much fun to work with. So are the enemies to lovers too. I'm going to try one of them sometime soon, but everything I have is like friends to lovers or basically second chance at the moment. I'm hoping to expand things because I've only got a few books out right now, not many. So not as experienced as someone like Maggie, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm a big Hurt Comfort fan. So if you're a character in my book, you're pretty much guaranteed some wumpage. But through it all, your feelings will be declared and you will find out how much the other person cares for you. And there will be a coming together. So, you know, the wumpage is worth the price. I'm just a sucker for that. But I also like Second Chance at Love and Friends to Lovers. But yeah, I love me a little bit of beat up guys who find love and affection as they're bleeding a little. Jennifer?
Well, like I said before, I absolutely love enemies to lovers. That's one of my favorite tropes. I also really like the fake dating, fake engagement kind of a thing. In historicals, like I love a good marriage of convenience. Anything basically where the characters are, like I said before, are like thrust together and have to get along or solve a problem or whatever. And I am totally addicted to like the Hallmark and Lifetime and Netflix holiday romances. I mean, I have like my little list printed out and like I check them off as I watch them. So yeah, and I have already started watching them for this year. So
Well, I think they started in like the end of October. So
end of October, yeah.
You've got a running start. Nancy?
I tend to gravitate towards second chance at romance. I also like friends to lovers. I've done enemies to lovers a couple of times and probably will do it a couple more times with what I already have planned. But to me, it's something, the second chance romance, second chance at love is like you got together and it didn't work because you weren't the people who could make it work then. And so we grow and we change and we become different. And the thing I like about second chance romance is those differences are sometimes what makes it possible to get past the cracks that were there before.
Okay. Maggie?
You know, when I was thinking to the books that I wrote, noticed that I lean towards kind of social and cultural differences. In the Matawappit family series, it's cultural difference, where they come from different type of either religious or cultural backgrounds, where they're trying to find balance. And when I look at my When We Were Young series, it's social position in the community. where one is a rich boy, the other one's a poor boy, and they each come from different backgrounds. I do like seeing characters like that, where they are from different places, and then they meet, and then they have to overcome those obstacles that are keeping them apart. So yeah, I'm a sucker for those.
You know, I'm surprised we're talking about holiday romance and nobody mentioned forced proximity, the whole snowed in at the ski
Snowed
lot,
in.
get out, blizzard. Oh my, we're stuck here and the fire's out, so we'll have to cuddle. I mean, you know, that's just kind of the bedrock of winter romance. Yeah.
And if you're in a holiday rom-com, you have to plan the festival to save the town or save the family business or what have you. That, and of course, the family business is like a Christmas tree farm or, you know, toy factory or whatever.
Don't forget bakeries. Everybody owns a bakery.
Bakery, yep.
Yeah. Which leads me right into my next question, which is, what do you love about watching or reading holiday themed romances? What do you go looking for, whether it's on the Hallmark Channel or in a book or anywhere else? Back to you, Jennifer.
For the movies especially, you know, I love the decorations, just everything. It just seems a little brighter and more hopeful and more cheerful and joyful this time of year. So yeah, for me, a lot of the movie appeal is definitely the decorations, and in books too. I like books that are, you know, set in different countries or different cities, and you get to see like Christmas traditions from around the world, you know, along with other holiday traditions. So yeah, just any kind of a different take on Christmas. I'll read it or watch it.
Sounds good. Nancy?
I'm sorry, I totally blanked on the question. Do you mind repeating it?
What do you like in, or what kind of books, movies do you go for in the holiday season? What do you like about those?
Thank you. I like the fact that, as Jennifer said, you have all the trappings of the holiday. I'm a sucker for Christmas trees. I'm a sucker for lights, as you can tell from what's behind me. This is a Christmas lights backdrop. But I also like the fact that in holiday romances, the conflict tends to be farther from the deeply angsty end of the scale. You know, romances run from light conflict to really soul-searing, scarring things. And the holiday ones tend to be more toward the lighter end. And I think we can all use a little light in our lives. I know I certainly can. And I enjoy getting that from a holiday romance because I get my happy ending and I don't have to be tormented by fear for these characters. And it's pretty to look at. So all that.
That works for me. Maggie?
I'm one of those who likes a good, dark, twisty, deep type of holiday romance where they're dealing with something horrible, whether it's grief or something, and then finding hope afterwards. I'm one of those people who likes to, I don't know what it is about making characters suffer, whether I'm reading or writing it, but I like seeing them grow that way, and I'm no different when it comes to holiday romance. Maybe I'm mean, I don't know, but I like seeing that.
So they don't get a break from you just because it's Christmas. Oh no, you're gonna have to suffer anyhow.
No, they don't. No.
Valerie?
It's the joy and fun of the season for me. I prefer things to be lighthearted, although a good dark romance like Maggie likes is fun too. I'll admit that. I like seeing somebody gagging over an ugly Christmas sweater as a joke, you know, one with LED lights on it. You know, I put one of them in my Christmas short story last year, and it turned out to be a bit of a hit. So I like the inside jokes, the craziness, the surprises that people pop on each other during the holidays, just the general fun, you know.
Yeah. I love getting to see characters who might not be in the setting that we normally see them in. So in one of my books, we've met one of the characters. He's this kind of tough, seasoned homicide detective, and he takes his new boyfriend home to meet his big extended Italian family in Pittsburgh. And he's not the oldest. He's one of the little brothers. And so we get a whole new view of Vic when he's with his big brothers and this cop family in Pittsburgh where everybody's got food galore. And it's a wonderful way to kind of see into the person and who they are in another light than we normally get to see them when they're with their romantic interest or in their job. So that's fun. And I'm a sucker for food descriptions and recipes. Recipes are always good. We got a recipe out of the back of a book once for a warm, it's a warm dessert casserole, but it starts with 2 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts, glazed, a can or so of fruit cocktail, and confectioner's sugar. And you bake this. And let me tell you, it is out of this world, but you will be on a sugar buzz from the first bite. You can't eat too much of it because you're flying. And got that out of the back of a book. I mean, you know, wonderful love story and food. They go together. So what kind of a holiday decorator are you? And do your characters follow suit, or do you get to mix and match? Nancy?
Well, we used to be much more vigorous and enthusiastic decorators when our son was small. I mean, we have little figurines that we would pull out, and I have snow globes, some of which I got on our honeymoon, and we put up a tree. I mean, my one rule is the tree must be taller than I am, and I'm 5'9". So we generally end up with a fairly large tree, and that's the centerpiece. As time has gone on and our son has grown up and is not here to make excited noises, we tend to take out less of the things like, fewer of the things like figurines and snow globes, because we're acutely aware that we will then have to put them back in a couple of weeks. So, you know, at some point I'd like to get to the point of decking the halls like that again, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. And when you said that, I just realized that I don't know that I have written but one story in which we actually see the characters decorating. We see the heroine decorating her Christmas tree, and that's it. In all of the other stories, the decorating's already done. I wonder if there's some subconscious message there.
All of the pretty sparkly stuff, none of the work. Yeah.
There's a thought.
Maggie?
I'm the same way. I'm not a decorator. I did put up a little tree every now and then, but the dogs now are just over a year old, so they will eat the tree. So there's no tree this year. As for my holiday romances, you know, it's not so much the decorating. I really don't get into that. It's more about the spirit and what they're feeling. You know, that it'll have that nice little element to it, but I don't have anyone decorating or anything like that, probably because I'm not a decorator. I really don't pay much attention to any of that at the holidays.
Okay. How about you, Valerie?
We have a tree that we put up, an artificial one. It's 18 or 19 years old this year, because we've been in the house almost 19 years. And we have a kaleidoscope light that projects onto the front of the house and makes all these different pretty colors. And a couple of those old-fashioned candles that are about 3 feet high that go on either side of the main door, that were my husband's grandmother's, and she gave them to us, and she stopped decorating so much around her place. But overall, I'm a minimalist when it comes to Christmas decorating. My mom goes crazy. I don't. My characters, you don't really see them decorating or anything, because in my short story, it's a birth of a child that's focused on. And you see a little bit around the real estate agency where the hero works and owns. I mean, like the ugly Christmas sweater, Christmas hats, flashing lights, deck the halls playing in the background. But overall, I don't mention anything about their condo being decorated or anything. It's just basically him focused on getting home and getting to see the birth of his first child. That's all. It was a fun story to write, though.
Mm-hmm. I've written Christmas into a couple of the series, and Simon and Vic have a bungalow that's a street back from the beach in Myrtle Beach. And Simon bought the bungalow from his aunt, so he inherited her mid-century modern silver Christmas tree and all the beachy ornaments that go on it. So they've got this very retro tree with, you know, shells and starfish and all kinds of stuff on it. And it's ticky-tacky wonderful. Seth and Evan live in an RV, and so they can't have a big tree, but they do go out and they get kind of something that's a little bigger than a Charlie Brown tree and decorate it. And it's minimal, but they've got lights, and so they've got something. And I haven't quite written Christmas into the other series yet. For me, we are that house on the block, the one with the light up everything in the front yard and the lights in the bushes and 3 full-size trees. And my view is if you can't see it from space, you don't have enough lights on it. So you start with a pre-lit tree and add another 4,000 lights, and you're getting close and it looks like a CarMax lot. So, you know, if you need shades to look at the Christmas tree, you're in the right path. And yeah, it's a month-long production to put it up. It stays up extra long because it was, and then it's a month-long production to take it down. This year, we won't be able to put the village under the tree because we have 2 new grand dogs, 2 new puppies in the family, and we're not putting the Christmas village under the tree with pups because it just isn't going to go well. But normal years, there's even a whole lit up village under the tree. So yeah, we're those people. Jennifer, how about you?
For me, my favorite thing is the Christmas tree. I usually get a live tree, and I like to put it up Thanksgiving morning, like while the Macy's Day Parade is on in the background. That's like my little holiday tradition. I put out a few other things. I have a stocking. It's the same stocking I've had since I was a kid. My mom got it, I think, at one of those Christmas around the world parties or something like that, like way back in the day. And I've had it ever since. So I always put that out. As far as my books go, I have a couple set at the holidays, and I try to match the decorations to the theme or the world of the book. Like in my Elemental Assassin series, I have a novella called Nice Guys Bite. And in the novella, Jen Blanco, is she's decorating her barbecue restaurant for a holiday party. So she is like cutting out like paper snowflakes, but they're shaped like pigs because the name of her restaurant is the Pork Pit. So I try to do like little quirky things like that when it comes to my books.
Nice. Now, we touched on Hallmark movies, but let's fess up. What are the holiday classics that you've just got to watch, or it's not the holiday season? And you don't have to be grown up about this. It can be Rudolph. It can be It's a Wonderful Life. It can be anything in between. But what are the things that you've got to see at least once just to feel like you're in the holiday spirit? Maggie?
I always have to watch. We started this the Grinch with Benedict Cumberbatch. Is that his name? I love that one, so we always got to watch that. I always got to watch A Year Without a Santa Claus. I love those 2, those 2 guys that are who are they again?
Cold Miser?
Yeah, Heat Miser and Cold Miser. Yeah. I always got to watch those. I love that Rankin Bath. Is that who they're called?
Yes.
I love their Christmas cartoons. Yeah, and I also got to watch Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. Yeah, so those are mine.
That's good. Yeah, I love the Rankin Bass with all the styrofoam snow. You know, it's just a tradition.
Same here. I love it.
How about you, Valerie?
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That is a flippin' classic. I also like to watch Garfield's Christmas too. Big Garfield fan. Love him to pieces. That's about it for me. I'm not much for listening to music or anything like that Christmas wise. So, but those 2 are my go-tos every year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also one of those people who would start listening to Christmas music if I could get away with it, like November 1st, because I need a little Christmas right this very minute. But since I try to keep my husband from becoming homicidal, we don't start it quite yet. But yeah, I love the animated Grinch, and I love, like Maggie said, all the Rankin Bass and the Muppet Christmas Carol, as well as the version of the Christmas Carol with George C. Scott. that everybody has their favorite Christmas carol. We even did a panel on which Christmas carol are you, but those are my favorites. Jennifer?
Well, one of my favorite Hallmark movies is, it's called A Princess for Christmas. And for you Outlander fans, it has Sam Cunin. Am I saying his name right? It has him in it, and Roger Moore and Katie McGrath. And I really love that one because I also like a royal themed romance. That's another trope that I like that I should have mentioned. I love the classic Rudolph. I remember that from growing up when I was a kid. So I love to watch that one. And I also, it's not really a Christmas movie, but I like The Sound of Music just because, like I said, when I was growing up as a kid, they always showed it at Christmas for some reason. And I would usually fall asleep like at the point where Maria and Christopher Plummer are like dancing at the ball near the end. So for me, like the movie stops right there. But that's another one that I like to watch during the holidays.
Yeah, that's like our channel always ran The Wizard of Oz on Thanksgiving. So to me, it's a Thanksgiving movie. Go figure. Nancy?
Well, I always liked the original animated Grinch nominated by Boris Karloff. I mean, that's my favorite version of that story. And my favorite live action Christmas movie, which I never get to see because they never show it because it's in black and white, and I don't own it, is the original Miracle on 34th Street. I think it's so perfect. This department store Santa who says he's the real Santa, and this little girl who's being raised by a single mother who doesn't like imaginary things. She wants her daughter to be grounded, and this little girl is fascinated with this Santa Claus. And then the other guy I forget what he does right now, but John Payne plays him. I mean, John Payne was a cutie. If y'all look at him, and Maureen O'Hara is holding John Payne at a distance because he's into all this imagination stuff. But I really love that movie. I think it's got a lot of heart. I think it's really sweet. I love the ending, which I won't say anything about in case there's anybody out there who hasn't seen it and ever manages to actually glom onto it. My husband loves A Christmas Story. So we always watch that, and I try to do him a favor and plug it when I'm on a panel so that people will watch it. And our son used to choose Jingle All the Way, but I think he's kind of outgrown Jingle All the Way because the quest for the perfect action figure, I don't think interests him as much as it did once at one point in his life. But sometimes I'll put it on and watch it just because it also has a lot of heart in its own way.
It does. And it's Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to get a toy. How do you not love that? Now, do you or your characters have anything that is kind of like an heirloom that you bring out just for Christmas? It could be an ornament. It could be a decoration. It could be a special plate or a serving dish. It could be a recipe. Do you have something that is kind of a reminder or an heirloom sort of thing that makes your holidays or your characters' holidays a little more special? Valerie?
I don't really mention anything in Sweet Child of Mine about it. The only thing that I really mention is family and how Ewan's managed to come out from Alberta out to Nova Scotia. I never even thought about including something like that in the book, to be honest. Sorry.
That's okay. It's whatever works for you. I think for me, we have my mom's set of china, and that you don't eat on it every day, but you haul it out for Thanksgiving and Christmas because it's shiny and sparkly and special, and it reminds you of their grandma. And some little trinket plastic ornaments that my mom bought decorations at the 5 and dime back when there was such a thing, and the little elves that are kind of porcelain. But they all came from the 5 and dime, and I put them out very carefully. And then I broke one, and I tried to find a replacement on Etsy, and I found out that they might have been at the 5 and dime when they were made, but they are a whole lot more when you try to find a replacement nowadays. But it's bringing those kinds of things out and setting them around so that there's a memory going on with some of the decoration. How about you, Jennifer?
I have a lot of ornaments that my grandma used to have on her Christmas tree. And I cannot even tell you how many of these ornaments that I broke when I was a kid. I mean, I broke a lot of them, but I still have a few left. So I love putting those on the tree and, just They remind me of my grandmother, and just all the various ornaments that I've collected over the years. When we go on vacation, sometimes I like to buy a Christmas ornament. So I have Christmas ornaments from like the beach, and I have one from the Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And I just love little quirky ornaments like that.
Okay. How about you, Nancy?
Well, my parents too bought their ornaments at the Five and Dime when they first got married. And, they weren't what you would call really substantial ornaments. And so they were easy to break, especially in the hands of children. I have a white reindeer, and I honestly don't remember anymore, but I think he must have been one of a team, possibly of 8. And he has a little red harness that's faded to pink, painted around the side of his body. And the little hook, the little loop on top for the hook broke off ages ago. But when my parents downsized and moved out of their house, that reindeer came home with me. And so even though we have to find a place on the branches where we can kind of wedge him in so he won't fall, because you put a live tree in water and the branches gradually lower, so they shift a little bit, and we don't want the reindeer falling off and somebody stepping on him because they don't see him or anything like that. So I have that. And my husband and I started, before we were married, we took a trip about a month before we got married, and we bought some Christmas ornaments. And so we've kind of continued that tradition of buying Christmas ornaments when we take a trip, assuming we're somewhere where that's an option. And so the ornaments that we bought that first trip are really special to me too. So those always go on the tree fairly early because they're glass, and you want to get things like that up and out of the way before sturdier stuff comes out.
I love getting ornaments as souvenirs because you've got a time and place to display them, but you don't have to dust them all year. And it just Maggie, how about you?
I'm trying to think, back in the books here. There's no special ornaments or things that they put out, but there is a tradition every year, a certain gift he gives her every single year. I won't say what it is, or I'll spoil. But that's what I made sure to include it.
Okay. Well, believe it or not, we
home.
have blown through the whole time. So let's go around and let everybody tell whatever book you've got new, coming up, Christmas, whatever it is, and where people can find you on social media. Starting with you, Jennifer.
Okay, this is my latest book. It's called A Sense of Danger. It is basically urban fantasy. It's spies with magic, and a lot of romance. It will be out on November 16th. So you can pick that up. And people can find me online. I'm pretty active on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then you can follow me on Amazon, BookBub, and Goodreads. And if you go to my website and click on the contact tab, you can sign up for my email newsletter.
Okay, great. Nancy.
You can find information about me and about my books at nancynorthcott.com. And the social medium singular that I use most often is Twitter, where I'm at Nancy Northcott. The Caneham Castle books have my romantic suspense holiday stories in them. One of them's Christmas, one of them's Halloween. There are also paranormal romances written by other people who are in those anthologies. And Magic and Mistletoe and Gigi's Magic Christmas are paranormal romance short stories.
Okay. Maggie?
My latest book that came out October 29th, Born for This. It's book 1 in the Mesmerize series that you can get, well, basically anywhere. You can reach me at maggieblackbird.com, and all my social media handles and everything are at that website where you can find me.
Okay. Valerie.
My latest book is called Eternity's Gamble. It was released October 1st via Decadent Publishing, and it's available. You can get the links via my website, VJAllison.com. My holiday short story is also called Sweet Child of Mine. It's a direct sequel to my debut novel, Stricken, the Feathered Tartan series, book 2. It's about Ewan and Marty's first child's arrival. And all my social media is found on my website. and I mostly use Facebook and Twitter.
Okay. I'm pretty easy to find online, gailzmartin.com, morganbrice.com. All of the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and everything else is a variation of those names. The latest book is Trash and Treasure, which is in my Fox Hollow series, is Morgan Brice, and that is a shifter series. And this is a story about a lonely raccoon and a raccoon shifter and a optimistic possum who are looking for love, and there are seductive donuts. The Christmas story, gotta have seductive donuts. The Christmas story is in the Canham Castle series. I've been part of all three. Christmas at Canham Castle with my characters from Deadly Curiosities, Tegan Anthony. Trick or Treat at Canham Castle with my characters from the Treasure Trail series, Eric and Ben. And coming up, we have a Ring in the New at Canham Castle for New Year's Eve, and that's got Simon and Ben from Badlands. So I'm looking forward to seeing that come out and Ringing in the New. Well, folks, thank you so much for being such wonderful, wonderful panelists. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There'll be more romance coming up here on Continual, so we'll see you online.